staying with us. Welcome to the second part of this conversation, the impact of COVID-19 on the Kenyan economy. In studio, she is still with us, and Martin Maura, CPA, a financial consultant, who is trying to help us and looking at the impact on what we should do as a nation, as a government, and as a country, as individuals, to try and curb the impact of this novel virus on the Kenyan economy. Before we went on a break and we talked about the exports and imports that we depend on as an economy. Look at the imports now. 85% of our raw materials are imports.
Yeah.
And majority of that comes from China.
Yeah.
China now it's locked. It's a lockdown. How do we go about this?
Well, it's indeed a challenge, because with the lockdown, it means that business is not happening as it is supposed to be happening. The levels have gone down. It means people who had employment lack employment now. It means people who are in business cannot do this business. They have no people to sell to. They have no people coming to buy because of the lockdown. And then also another thing that is going to happen now that we are not able to import things, it means people will be running after the little limited resources that are available. So it's going to really be a challenge to everyone, and therefore we must look for alternative measures, and we must look for other locally available materials or ideas that can be able to substitute some of these things, because it's a reality that there is minimal resources. There is no import happening.
Do you think it is high time? This might be actually a blessing in disguise. Do you think that it's high time that now, as a nation, as a country, as a government, we strengthen the local manufacturer?
Sure. It is a high time that we strengthen the local manufacturing and our industries, make sure we support them, invest in them, so that we are able to provide what is not provided by what we import. And therefore that's why I talked about looking for locally available alternatives where we can be able to support ourselves, because after coronavirus we need to continue living and supporting ourselves.
Because some of the things that we import actually look like, we import even matchsticks.
Sure.
We import toothpicks. These are things that we can manufacture and make locally.
Yeah.
I'm looking at it and trying to think of the ways that the government can look at this. Like KPLC, it's a government-owned entity. Do you think it's high time that now they cut down even the power cost to the local manufacturer, so that he doesn't spend a lot on power and concentrate on manufacturing quality products for the Kenyan market?
Yes. Here, Vincent, we need to imagine at this point that the government should come in and support. Because, for example, like you talk of the issue of the power, we need to have cut down costs so that we are able to manufacture at low costs, because that is one of the challenges that people face when we try to manufacture things locally, and therefore we are forced to import. And if the government can support the local industries to be able to manufacture at low cost, then we will be able to elevate the industries here in Kenya and be able to produce some things locally. Like you say, there are some things we need not to import if we can manufacture them here. But now the problem is, us Kenyans still don't trust our own things. We still want to import. But if the government can help, and all of us Kenyans can help put confidence and make sure that we reduce the cost to minimal, we can be able to raise the confidence of the things that are locally manufactured, and be able to support our economy in that way. And we don't know what will come next after coronavirus, and preparedness is crucial. So we need to prepare for anything that may come next in future, so that we are able to be self-reliant and independent.
I'm looking at another positive from this. Agrochemicals, I know you remember this company, It was a manufacturing farm that was closed a few years ago, but a few days ago it was reopened to produce the cost-free or let's say free of charge sanitizer that the government wants to produce. So actually, this is a farm that is coming up now, and people are going to be needed to work in this industry. So it's a way of actually creating employment. So it's a positive also on our side. If we looked at it from the flip side, then we can do wonders as far as this menace is
I totally
concerned.
agree with you, and sure enough, that's a very good example which has created an opportunity. You know, even in this menace of coronavirus, it has also created opportunities here and there, because like now that industry is going to come up. We look at people being deployed. So it means there's a possibility if the government is able to support our local industries, we can be able to do things at minimal cost and with quality, because that's the issue.
Now, on another side, let's look at our exports.
Okay.
We depend on the European countries on our exports, on the goods that we really get out of this country and out there. I want to look at Majan Chai and then the flowers, horticulture sector. Flowers, the flower industry to be specific in Kenya, actually last year, it brought in foreign exchange 120 billion shillings in foreign exchange. Right now, you look at the statistics, the farmers and the stakeholders in the industry are saying that they are taking a loss of 30 million a day.
Yes, in a day.
How tough that can that be?
This is quite tough. The other day, the president of the USA, President Trump, shut down the flights from Europe to USA, and that really causes a major impact in the flower industry. We look at Holland in Netherlands as a major market for flowers, and this is where many countries depend on that, even here in Africa. So by that shutdown, it's going to affect so many countries, and this horticulture and flower industry is going to be affected in a big way, because now it means we cannot export. And look at people who have produced these flowers, they've already incurred the cost, but now the flowers could be somewhere rotting and not able to export because there is no means of transportation because of this shutdown. So it's really going to affect them, and instead of growing them, this is actually a big blow to their business, and their income is affected in this factor. So it's really a major challenge for them. It's a major challenge.
Now I want us to look at the other economies, like the superpowers. We look at the USA. The USA the other day released around 85 trillion shillings to just try and support business to be running. The UK released around 42 trillion to try and make the business run. Look at the countries that have been locked down, Italy and France. They're trying to come with a raft of measures to try to and relieve the mwananchi, the normal citizen, in trying to make them not feel the pressure, because they are not working, they're actually at home. The measures they have taken is like trying to really come up with a standardized pricing of the necessary commodities, and then they have actually frozen rent payments. As a country, if at all, we are not praying for this, but if at all we went into a lockdown, are we able to do such things?
At the moment, my guess would be no, because where we are as a country, I am not sure we are able to give allowances close to 100,000 to every mwananchi like US did, because USA gave equivalent of Kenya shillings 100,000. And they also gave, I think it was to the tune of 30 trillion to SMEs to support them to be able to pay their salaries and all that. And as Kenya, where we are trying, but it's going to be a challenge because we may not be able to, the government is probably not able to support. And this becomes a challenge to all undeveloped countries or developing countries where you are not able to support all your citizens to that level.
Yes.
We look at China. It has done this. It has disinfected their regions all over. You know, the government has invested in that. Look at a country like a place like in Italy. They have improved and invested immensely in their health system.
Yes.
So as Kenya, where we are today, I am not very sure we're in a position to support to that level where we say that those who are paying rent can stop paying rent for a period of a certain months or this duration, because probably the landlords have not finished also paying loans for the residential houses. You see, it's a chain of challenges, and that is why unless the government cuts across all such that if you do not pay rent, then the landlord should not pay the loan, and then everybody now is catered for in that scenario. But even saying that, we are not failing to appreciate the attempts and the measures the government is putting in, even talking to the stakeholders to be able to support this whole system and support every mwananchi. We look at Safaricom, for example. They have been able to waive charges for 90 days.
Yeah.
I think that's a big plus, because for SMEs, when you're able to send more money at no cost, and even every individual, it's such a plus for the government, and I think we should take advantage of that. And that will help a lot. When you look at the banks, when they are talking about helping in the lowering the rates and such kind of a thing, it's a plus. So what is remaining is that extra step that we can reach to the level of some of those countries.
Yeah. You've talked about the banks and all that. The other day they released modalities on to try and reduce, or actually reduce the pressure on the Kenyan citizen, and they waived the fees of transferring money from one wallet to the accounts and forth. And again, they elongated or increased the period of loan payment. Are these really measures that are going to really help relieve the citizen? And should the government do more? Because this is a private sector that's doing this. But what of the government of Kenya?
I would start by answering your question that these measures, you know, they could be short term, but they will relieve the mwananchi, common mwananchi, from some of the challenges. Because right now, when you have stock and you cannot sell, or even you don't have that stock at all, and you have nothing, and you have a loan, that delayment of repayment of that loan is going to help you within that period. Or when you are able to transfer money from one account to the other, or mobile to the account in the bank at no cost or reduced charges, it is also going to help a lot. So what is remaining is the support from the government side, because that is what even the common mwananchi is looking at. That is what everyone is crying out to, because the government would have more impact than even the private sectors. The private sectors come in to help and assist what the government would do, that will go a long way in helping the living standards of the common mwananchi, and even saving the coming down of these small businesses.
Yeah, sure. Now, what sector will you concentrate on if you are given an opportunity to strengthen? What sector will you strengthen in this particular period?
I think, apart from the horticultural that is locally here that I would really strengthen, I would look at the aviation, because it's affecting many other. It's affecting the industry of tourism. It's affecting the like we talked about the flower industry, it's affecting so many things. So if the coronavirus is prevented in such a way that the borders are opened, when we are able to say that we are safe, there is no more transmission, we've taken the precautionary measures, we have tested, because that now takes me also to massive testing. If the government is able to introduce testing even for those people with no symptoms, because right now those people who are being tested more so are the ones with symptoms.
Yes.
And we can narrow it down to testing everyone. You know, massive testing.
Actually,
where
the
everyone,
government introduced that the
yes,
other day.
just the other day, and
Yeah.
we're happy that we are now able to test it here,
Yeah.
without having to have the results
Yes,
back here in
that.
Kenya.
Yeah.
So if that happens, it's going to help everyone, and it's going to help all this industry to come back again. So if the measures are taken seriously and this is curbed, then the borders would be opened with the confidence that there is no more spreading of the same, and then this industry will come back, because it carries a lot. It's a lockdown. There's no continent, there's no country that is self-sufficient. We need global market to be functional again, to be able to have money circulation, and to be able to support each and every industry. So I think that's the area that I would give more weight, even with the others, because they are all important.
Because they're all important.
Sure.
Even as we close and come to the tail end of this conversation, what are some of the measures, and because they are here, what are some of the measures that we should take, we as individuals, in matters to try to improve ourselves economically, financially? You said you as a financial consultant, what are some of the measures that we should take?
Okay, I would say that there's a lot we can do from an individual capacity to be able to help the whole economy. We start by saving. I would call it as simple as saving. Making sure that you save, you don't just spend, you save. Have a mind of saving in everything that you do. The other thing I will talk about is, as you save, spend less. We're in a season where this is not the time to buy what is not necessary. From a financial point of view, I would say it is time to spend just when it is necessary, and spend less, because we don't know how long this menace is going to take. We don't know how long it's going to be contained, and therefore for the time being, we need to save more. And then there are this advice we've been given. When you're told to self-quarantine, let's do it. The government has gone ahead and said no more public gatherings. Let's take it positively. Let us stay at home. Let us do what we can. Let us the simple measures like washing our hands now and then. It's going to protect, and our economy is going to bounce back as soon as possible. I'm looking at an issue of uncertainty, because we are uncertain how long this will be. And therefore, whatever we do, we need to budget and plan for it. Right now, we need to plan for what may come, because budgeting simply means you plan for expenditures you expect against the income you know you can get, so that you are able to plan yourself and play safe in everything that you do. And then I think we also need to learn new skills. This one I was thinking about the other day, Vincent. Now children are at home. Schools are closed. We are at home. It's an opportunity for people to be together, opportunity for home fellowships, opportunity for children to learn new things. Instead of just taking it, you are at home because of coronavirus, we can take an advantage and develop ourselves by making sure these children can cook. We can learn new skills. We can do so many other things. You can do washing. There has been that season of where children cannot do much. At home, we can keep them busy, and we can have more and more information. Maybe another thing that we should do is improve on information. Make sure, I think when we started, you talked about how the government is trying to communicate through the press releases that are happening, conferences and all that. So information is power. We are able to use technology now. and let's use technologies that in the right way so that we get the right information, and think also before we forward any information, because there are so many that are happening. I talked about using what is locally available, and I think that will also help us a lot. And I think finally I would say, Vincent, pray. As Kenyans, we need to pray. We need to, it's not about the much money we have. It is important to have money. It is important to save. It is important to do all that, but also pray and trust in God, because He can be able to stop this. There are so many things we can do, but He comes and does what we cannot do. The government will do as much, we will do as much, but God also comes and does what we cannot do.
Sure.
So praying, and you know the Bible in the book of 2 Chronicles chapter 7 and verse 14 says that if my people who are called by my name shall humble themselves, repent, pray, and call upon God, He will hear from above and answer our prayers. So even as we do all this, let us know that God is able to restore us and to sustain us, to provide for us in everything that we do, because He is in control and Jesus is coming soon.
Yeah. She said it all. I don't want to add, but I'll say that do not panic. We will defeat this. Just help the government in helping us defeat the COVID-19. Follow the guidelines, follow the measures that are being put in place by the government and the Ministry of Health, and then, as she said, pray and believe. Do not panic. We are going to defeat this. We've been having let me say CPA and Maura Martin on our show today, a special edition of Kazi Namali, looking at the impact of COVID-19 on the Kenyan economy. And you can keep this conversation going on our social media handles. On Twitter, we are at KAKTV_Kenya. On Facebook, it's KAKTV Kenya. And of course, follow us live on YouTube at KAKTV Kenya. And then let's keep this talking. Let's talk and try to help the government in helping us. Thank you, Anne. Unfortunately, we cannot shake hands because, you know, we must keep to the guidelines.
Sure.
And also continue keeping the social distance, and everything is going to be all right.
Sure.
That is it from us. God bless you. See you next time.
Thank you.